Hi, it's Brendon Payne with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, and I appreciate you watching this quick market update video that I've got for you and allowing me to always be your real estate resource here along the Grand Strand. So I wanted to update you on a few things, numbers related that we're seeing over the month of July, and then give you some things to think about as we continue to watch the changes in the market. Obviously, we are seeing some impacts. You read the headlines, and there's always conversations nearly daily about interest rates. Are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? So I want to try to simplify a few things here for our local market so you have an idea of exactly what's going on, and then you can make the best decisions going forward. So let's dive right in. First thing I want to look at is the numbers from July for the residential homes. So this is residential resale homes, no new construction. Okay. Showings, interesting fact that I've been really kind of watching over the last few months, because we see on the listings across the board in our market and also nationwide, because we can look at some of that data with some of our vendors. Showings right now on single family detached homes, not new construction, are down about 25% in the month of July. And not atypical. There's a lot of buyers, I think, that are trying to figure out what's going on, some uncertainty in the market with what's happening with prices and what's happening with interest rates. And so there's some buyers that have pulled back, and the demand is lessened a little bit for them. Maybe their urgency has gone away. And what a lot of the buyers are telling us is that they're waiting to kind of see what happens. So it's not surprising that it shows up in the showing numbers. Now, showings are a leading indicator of typically what's going to happen with new contracts and new closings, because somebody's got to first have some interest. That usually shows up on activity that we see online. Then they have to have enough interest to actually look at the home. That's the showing activity, then write a contract, and then it closes. So showings are a leading indicator of typically what we see a few months down the road. Pendings, the next step in the sales cycle. Pendings in the month of July, again, single family residential, no new construction, just resales. Pending transactions month of July were down 5.3%. So the amount of homes that went under contract in the month of July versus July of 2021, down 5.3%. If you look over the previous 3 months, that same metric, single family homes under contract versus the same time period last year, down about 14%. So there's fewer homes going under contract. Now, to kind of round this out, talk about the inventory. And the inventory picture has changed dramatically in the last 60 to 90 days, which is, when we started feeling some of the effects from the first interest rate hikes in the spring. So in July, right now, we're sitting at, I would imagine we're week 1 of August, we're probably have broken the 2-month supply, but we ended the month of July with 1.9 months of supply on residential single family homes. That's a big jump from where we were 12 months ago. It's actually a 30% increase in available inventory just over the last 90 days. Okay. So what's this mean? It means, first, there are still buyers that are buying. They're taking a little bit longer. They have more homes to choose from, and they have, essentially they're able to make decisions with a little bit less urgency. So for sellers, what that means is you still got a great market because there's still plenty of demand. It's just the people that might have been on the fence or affordability became an issue, then they're taking a little bit more time before they make decisions. And the urgency of, like, when something hits the market, we're typically not seeing 12 offers in the first 24 hours and properties getting bid up above the listing price. Okay, but still a good amount of demand for the sellers that are on the market right now. Now, in condos, we're going to look at the same 3 metrics there. In similar, but a little bit, condos are a little bit adjusted because they are, or I think they should be adjusted in our mind, because there's, especially with our oceanfront, a lot of people that are buying these are not buying them to live in full time. So you can imagine, as a discretionary purchase, something that somebody doesn't have to have in markets where there's a little bit of uncertainty, then these are a little bit more expected numbers. So showings on condos overall, including the oceanfront, in the month of July, we're down about 19%. So pretty significant. Not quite as much as the showings on residential homes, but still pretty significant. Pendings in the month of July are down 18%. So again, think of pending sales as they are leading indicators. They give us some insight. When the pendings are down, then in the future, the closings, the solds can't be up most of the time. If pendings are down, then that's what it has to be pending before it's closed. So that will give us some insight over the next 30 to 60, 90 days. If pendings are down, we're going to see closings down over the next several months as well. And then the inventory picture is significantly impacted compared to what the single family market is. So condos right now in the month of July over last year were up 72%. Now, just to give some clarity, I don't want to use that as a shock number. It is a shocking number, up 72%, but we also have to understand that if you went back to last year and you ran any given building for active, pending, and sold properties, you typically would see very few that were active. They were either 4 or 5 pending, and maybe there were 6 or 8 that have closed in the last few months. And then when something went active, it went under contract very quickly. So active listings are what drives the months on our month of supply and the inventory numbers. And so we started from this completely unreasonable amount of actives a year ago. So up 72% is a little concerning, but we started from a very, very low number. As you know, from listening to me, I don't use shock and awe value to try to get people to, go, oh my gosh, it's awful. I just want to make sure that you know what's behind the numbers. Significant increase, but we started from very, very low numbers that we're comparing them to last year. So for condo owners, what's that mean? It means a couple of things. We're winding down the biggest part of the season in terms of the income. So in any given market, I've been in this market selling full time for 16 years, and in any given market, there's a portion of the owners at the end of the rental season who put their properties on the market because they've collected the majority of their income, and now they don't want to carry it through the winter where maybe if they're not using it, then the income isn't as good as it is in the summertime. So I anticipate we will see more inventory coming on as the season winds down. And I think that we'll continue to see demand for these properties, but the buyers are becoming a little bit more discerning. So they are looking more at the numbers. They're looking at the performance of the units. They're looking at their motivation in what they're going to do with the property. The good news is over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of buyers. I've seen a transition of the buyers coming in buying condos that they're a little less concerned about the income. They're buying them more for their personal use, to have something that they can, enjoy. And it's not something that they're looking at as a true performance investment. It's more a want to buy versus, if they rent it, then they're getting a little bit extra income, but they don't have to have that income. So that's good. And hopefully that buyer audience stays around. If you're a property owner now and you're trying to figure out what your next move is, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is look and see what is your mid to long range plan for this. If you own a property, especially a condo right now, and you anticipate that you're going to own it for the next 5 to 10 years by design, that was always the plan, then very difficult to look into the future and see what that market's going to look like in that period of time. If you're someone who bought and maybe you're not using it as much as you thought, or it's kind of run its course, and now maybe you're thinking about doing something in a different market, or just taking the cash out since you've had such good appreciation recently, really worth considering making the move sooner than later, just primarily because everything points to, if you look at these numbers, at minimum this year, we're going to see a real slowdown in the appreciation that we've had. Won't go out on a limb and say we haven't seen prices go backwards yet, and we don't have the data that shows that, but these leading indicators are something to really be paying attention to, comparing to what your goal is with the property. And if you're thinking about, maybe I should just bank my return that I've made in the last couple of years with the appreciation, then I know a lot of people are doing that. and then they're kind of, going to sit on the sidelines and see what happens. So either way, it always starts with getting a good valuation of what your property would be worth in today's market, and understanding kind of how some of these dynamics are affecting your individual property, because we are an individual market, and then we have markets with submarkets within the Grand Strand, and then we have buildings that perform differently, and sales are different even within the same neighborhoods. So always important to really look at exactly what you have, what your goals are, and if I could be a resource for you, please let me know, reach out to me, and I'd love to provide that information. So until our next update coming up in September, thank you again for allowing me to be your resource, and let me know if I can do anything for you as we continue to watch what's happening here in the local market. Talk to you soon.